You can, yeah, that would be good. But it might kill your bandwidth, so it's up
Yeah,
to
I
you.
wonder if there's going to be like a weird,
All right, we're live.
cool. What's up?
All right. That was awesome. What a great song.
Yeah, that song rules, man.
So
Forgot how awesome that song is.
we are here with Honus, also known as Ryan from Man Man. Honus, thanks so much for joining. I can't tell you how much I appreciate this.
Oh, pleasure's all mine, man. About
Your
time we met.
yeah, your music, it's really unique. I've loved it ever since Six Demon Bag came out and made a video about that album that if you're watching, you should check it out. A friend of mine just sent me one of the tracks, and I had never heard Tom Waits before. So like it was exposure to a whole new world of that really growly vocal sound that I had just never heard before. So everything was just totally new. And you guys really you blew my mind. It was like this crazy combination of Captain Beefheart, Frank Zappa, circus music, almost like Mr. Bungle, but completely your own thing. I just love it.
Thanks, man. It means a lot. It's my style of writing music and my style of singing and everything came out of not knowing what the hell to do or how to do it.
Well, that's pretty normal, I think, for real artists. I was just talking to someone the other day saying, like artists just, they have no inhibition, and they're not looking for training. They're not looking for a destination. They're looking to express themselves. And I really feel like that's one thing that makes Man Man so unique. You have this wall of sound. It sounds like a choir of madmen, singing the weirdest lyrics. And so much fun. You can just tell there's energy and fun in the music. So that's something I've always appreciated about your work.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yes.
Yeah. Just pour everything into it. The whole kitchen sink, all the pipes from the house, the dirt from the yard attached to those pipes. It all goes into the song.
What's funny is it all seems to go on tour with you too. You guys have quite a live show.
I know. It's a lot of times when we're loading in that 20th, 25th, 30th piece of gear, we really question some of these live decisions. I feel more like a professional mover than a person in a band. Every time I'm like carrying that skeleton onto the stage, I'm like, do we really need this thing? Do we really need to be packing this every night? And on the last tour especially, traded some acid someone gave me for like an antelope head. So then we were lugging around an antelope head. Oh, this is perfect. This is perfect for this one song. I'm very theatrical, and who the fuck has an antelope head on stage?
Right.
And so every night, putting that antelope head in the back of the van, sliding it between the headrests so it doesn't fly out and impale someone on a quick braking. Yeah.
It's great, man. It's really great. So tell us a couple the names of the tracks we just listened to, and maybe a little background about them.
The first song was
Dreamers.
What's the first song? Dreamers. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, these songs had so many different names. Even on our set list, some of the songs have a different name just because it's Dreamers. That was one of the last tracks recorded for the album, actually. And I really wanted to open the album on a beautiful note, kind of a wistful, hopeful note, because it'd been 7 years since our last release. And I just wanted something that kind of sounded Chinatown-esque, kind of classic Hollywood, to set the stage of this isn't just another rock record.
Right.
So then we could come in with the extreme cacophony of Cloud 9 afterwards.
Yeah.
And the cacophony. Yeah, which wasn't on the radio edit. We had to cut that out for radio.
Ah. But you guys did just release a video for it too.
It was the first single where we dropped, and it kind of sucks because for years I've been joking that I make music for the apocalypse. It'll make sense when the world ends. Sucks that people don't get it now, but maybe someday when they're walking through the wasteland and they stumble across this melted jukebox or whatever, digital juke, whatever, maybe our song will play then. You'll be like, yeah, I get it. So we had a budget to do a lyric video, which I didn't want to do a straight lyric video. So I told Sub Pop, give me a second, let me think of something. Let me make a music video. So I just went on to Shutterstock, which is just stock footage, people, just like your basic stock, and found the footage of that old guy dancing. So they made a video out of that. And then as a kisser on the end, I was like, let's have the world explode. And that came out a week and a half before the world exploded with the pandemic. So suddenly this video of an old man dancing by himself on abandoned city streets took on a whole other meaning.
Yeah, I had no idea that was stock footage. I watched the video just a couple nights ago, and I was like, how did they get this guy? You know, like it and the camera work is
Yeah.
really nice. You know, like it looks like a really great production. Never would have guessed it was it was stock
Oh, it's
video.
beautiful. I mean, it's, I gave it to my friend Ryan Brown. He's like a feature film and a comedy editor, and he cut it together. And Cassidy Rouse did all the animation for the lyrics. Yeah, it just worked out. I just loved his dance moves, and I loved the spirit of it. But fuck, who would have known it would have been it would be so timely.
No
It's
kidding.
wild.
No kidding. And then the, whatever it is that hits the earth, an asteroid or whatever, and the world explodes. I watched it and I was like, what? Where did that come from? Maybe it's a non sequitur or maybe there's something deeper. But yeah, I guess with the
Well, it is.
pandemic, it makes more sense.
Yeah. What can I say? I'm pathetic. Sorry. I mean, even our album cover, which this is it right here, this shameless self promotion.
Yep.
Even this album cover is extremely timely right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I say that's one of the saving graces of dropping a record during a global pandemic is that, man, I mean, the subject matter on this record makes so much sense right now. It's wild.
So tell us a little about your writing process. I don't know if you're a lyrics first kind of guy or a riff or improv. How are you constructing these songs? Some of them are pretty straightforward, but others are certainly not. And I've just always been curious. What's your writing process like?
It sucks. It's truly the most inefficient, terrible way of writing. I don't recommend it to anybody. It's just the way that I write, and I've tried so many different ways, but I'm not a lyrics first or music first and try to fit lyrics and melody over. They happen at the same time.
Mm.
So it's like I'll literally be sitting at like a piano and just like, huh. Like, what can I sing over that? What kind of melody? I go into it. Most of the time, I don't even know what the song is. I don't know what the song's about. I don't, and so I write through repetition. And my buddy Rollin, if I should thank anyone, and people who like my band should thank anyone, one of the reasons why this album exists is because my buddy Rollin gave me like a little back house shack to write in. And I just had a piano in there, and I would treat it like a job, and I'd go there 6 to 8 hours every day and just bang on an upright piano. And I would just, until the songs tumbled out of my head. But it sucked. And I write lyrics on paper, and I tape them on the wall. I used to like, you can always cut me off at any time if I'm too long-winded. But I used to never write lyrics down, with the justification being, if I don't remember these words tomorrow, how can I expect anyone to remember them at all? And it worked. And so when you sing a song like 500 times to yourself, the words just get locked in. So you could sing anything like Satan 69ing,
Yeah.
But you sing it enough times, it becomes part of your being. It's a natural breathing.
Yeah.
And you can really sell any line.
It's funny. Did you see the movie Yesterday?
I had no desire to see that movie.
It's actually really good and very creative, but it's about this guy who there's some sort of event on the earth, and he wakes up from it, and the Beatles don't exist, but they go through this process, which I feel like is a really authentic musician experience. Like, if the Beatles never existed and there's no sheet music or lyrics written down, how do you remember those songs, And so they show him like trying to play the chords, and he's trying to fill in the lyrics, and he's like da 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 da. And that's how I am. I have to write everything down. Like when I'm writing music, I have to write tablature. I have to write down the lyrics. I have to make very sure, because my memory is, the older I get, I'm 38 now, and the older I get, the worse my memory gets. So I'm unable to remember anything that I wrote, and even simple chords like, did that go from B minor to A or B minor to G? Like, yeah.
yeah, I mean, around probably Life Fantastic, I realized my process of just trying to remember the words doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
Like, and I've lost so many songs because I was like, oh goddamn. I mean, now that I can record ideas on my phone pretty
Yeah.
easily, that helps. But now I just write on pieces of like printer paper and just tape them up to the walls. So my writing space, um, there was a line in our press release because I thought it was funny, but it's like it looks like I'm trying to find the killer because there is just madness all over the wall of my shack, and and I since I can't read or write music, I just have I have chord progressions written above, but the phrasing I don't, the phrasing is just what I'm playing.
Right.
So like I'm like, what the fuck is an A sus D? And then I have to Google like, oh, that's an A sus D. Was I playing like that? I don't know.
So
But I just have to remember what my body was. So when I try to play really old Man songs, it sucks. It's so hard because I have to reverse engineer my brain because Man's my first band and I taught myself how to play piano. So I have to like kind of dumb down like what would a 22-year-old Ryan, how would he have approached this song? And like not as fancy.
right.
And it sucks. And those recordings are, I love the recordings of the other records, but man, sometimes you can't tell what the hell is happening.
It's total chaos. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's a total din. It's unbelievable. So the album is called Dream Hunting in the Valley of the In-Between.
Here it is.
And there it is behind you.
Here it is. A beautiful artwork by LaFawn Hawk.
Yes, it's wonderful artwork.
Also comes in CD format and cassette tape.
Ooh.
For those masochists that want to relive the experience of skipping from song to song on a cassette tape. Now you can.
Why haven't we received our freaking albums?
Oh yeah, here's another. Just to backtrack a little bit, our label Sub Pop, who I love, they're like family. But when the world went upside down, they asked me, "Look, things are really messed up. Do you want to push back the release of your record?" And good on me, I said no. I think if anything, people need a soundtrack right now, without actually thinking about the implications of the entire supply chain. So the first thing that I was hit with was, so your albums, they're on the manufacturing floor at the vinyl pressing plant, and they finished the first side of the double LP. Unfortunately, the second side of the LP is on the manufacturing floor, and the factory is closed now. So our vinyl was literally on the floor. And then the next thing that I didn't expect was, oh, you're releasing a record during a pandemic? By the way, anyone who was going to review your record or interview you, with the exception of you, Anthony, and a few other people, guess what? All these companies either went out of business, had to let everyone go, and aren't paying freelancers. So now they're, good luck.
Yeah.
And and our publicist is hustling so hard at Sub Pop, but it's like there's only so much you can do. It's
right.
Like the world's upside down.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say, because of this lack of press, I'm grateful for this opportunity to talk to you. But
likewise,
thank you. In light of the lack of press, I want to encourage anyone who's watching this or listening. This album is artwork. It's not like it's not a pop album. Like a lot of the music that we feature on Make Weird Music, it goes beyond just releasing a set of songs. And this is the work of discipline and craft and years of honing and experience with several musicians and with instruments. So it's a very live and human album, and I want to encourage you to pick it up. You can buy it on Bandcamp, which is a great way to support artists. They get more revenue from Bandcamp than any other place. So I'd recommend buying on Bandcamp and supporting Honus and Man and other artists. But this album is art, and you should buy it.
Thanks, Anthony. I
Sure.
mean, I'll be honest, it's absolutely crushing. that it takes almost 4 years to make this record, and 7 years since my last Man record, and there was a lot that even get to this point. I mean, when we finally finished recording the album in November, I mean, I had a complete cathartic breakdown. I was weeping because I never thought I'd be able to make another record, and let alone this record. Right. I'm so proud of it, and I feel like it took everything in my life to make this record.
Yeah,
it took all the experiences of the previous albums, learning how to be a songwriter, finding musicians I did, and then crafting something that has so many layers to it.
Right.
And it's like so on brand that it comes out during a like once in a lifetime global pandemic, you know, and it feels like lousy having to try to shill something, but
right.
You know.
Yeah. Hey, all 30 million people who lost their jobs, go out and buy this record, you know?
Yeah. I mean, but I will say that the encouraging thing about it all is that, you know, just hearing back from people, you know, if we're able to provide any relief from the darkness that is out there right now, that's incredible.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's kind of the beauty of music and just making stuff, is the transformative quality.
Totally agree. All right, so speaking of cacophony and art and madness, let's listen to a track called Powder My Wig. Everyone brace your ears for this one. It's a wild track. Here we go.
You make this whole heart skip a beat when you whimper tenderly. You ain't got no tears to cry, 'cause you're mostly dead inside. So am I. All of the ducks out of the pond don't give a fudge about a dying song on the shore. Sadness buried in our bones, it dissipates whenever you're close to me. The sadness buried in our bones, it dissipates whenever you're close to coming. And you always pay for, but you never finish. Couldn't care too much about me.
So dope.
The sadness buried in our bones, it dissipates whenever you're close to me. The sadness buried in our bones, it dissipates whenever you're close to me. The sadness buried in our bones, it dissipates whenever you're close to coming. And you always pay for, but you never finish. It's all just a game of heaven and hell and back again, and I am just a rubbernecker.
Unbelievable, man.
Yeah, that's our Bohemian Rhapsody. And just listening to that song, I mean, I am so lucky to have the quality musicians that play on this album and play in this band. The guitar work. My friend Madeline, she and her quartet, the Azara Quartet, did that whole Baroque breakdown at the end. Wild. And I love, every time I hear the song, I smile because I know how much Cyrus, who produced the record, I know how much he hates the line, all of those bros out on the quad, hacking that sack, couldn't give two fudge about me. We were so, I mean, we were on the floor, like, singing, couldn't give two fudge. Like, why there do we decide not, you know?
Right.
You gotta keep them guessing, man. You know, when they expect you to zig, you gotta zog.
That track is such a beautifully coordinated mess. You know, there's strings, there's Allman Brothers guitar parts, there's SpongeBob SquarePants guitar parts. There's
there's like the New York breakdown, like
right.
the Sinatra breakdown, and that part arrangement wise was totally on Cyrus. Like Cyrus was really my right hand man through making this record. Like I would take in these songs, and together we'd figure out how to flush them out and arrange them. And then the players on this album are incredible.
Yeah, the musicianship is really great on this record. The audio quality is fantastic. I just think. Like
can I comment on that real fast? The audio quality?
Yeah.
Little known fact, but you know, so we spent 3 years recording, and we were like, at the time I was hustling and doing like a lot of, you know, I had part-time jobs, you know, career as a musician, make kind of music, you know, you got to hustle.
Right.
And so Cyrus was able to squeeze in recording sessions between, you know, at nights after his like 9 to 5. And we spent 3 years recording like that. And we just got to a point where the record was almost done. And, you know, Cyrus and I, it was just missing something. Like, it didn't feel right. Like, it sounded like a record. It just didn't sound like the record that we wanted to make. So after 3 years, we scrapped a lot of it. We went on a week-long Man tour, the first Man tour in like 5 years, and re-recorded everything live.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's a testament to Cyrus's patience and the rest of the guys in the band. Is that I just wanted that energy of a band being in a room,
right,
interacting and like fucking up together.
Yep.
And I wanted the listener to feel like they're there with us. I would just want it to be organic, you know.
That's actually that's something I've always loved about your music. It's you feel like you're present with the band actually playing. It doesn't feel like, okay, Ryan did his track here. He did the piano track 3 years ago, and then he did a vocal track a year later, and then a guitarist came in and layered something on. Like, it doesn't sound like that. It sounds like it's so organic. It sounds like you're all in the same place, laughing, making just such fun music. And for me, as a listener, and as someone who, obviously I run a music website, I get music all the time. Very few albums give me true joy. This album makes me laugh. It makes me smile. It makes me like enjoy the act of listening. So I love the way that all of this came together. And I think that's something I enjoyed about your first couple records, because it really sounded like there were 20 guys in a room with like 5 microphones just kind of scattered all over, and you just tracked it, you know. But this has that feel, but also the high quality of some engineering where they really knew what they were doing.
Yeah, you know, and Brett, my other guitar player in the band, his birthday today actually.
Happy birthday, Brett.
He recorded all the vocals on a microphone that my friend Sean built. So it was just really like just getting all of my buds together to make this happen.
That's cool.
But one thing that was super important was this, you know, not to besmirch it, like I think it's like I'm proud of all the records I've ever made.
Mm-hmm.
But Oni Pond was so on a grid and quantized,
right? And
it was just the nature of the band at that point. There was so much flux that I didn't want to have that same kind of feeling for this. I wanted to go back to that recklessness.
Yeah.
So overdubbing the songs that aren't quantized and on the clock. Woo!
It's the price you pay for art, right?
but it gives it an undeniable feel, and
It does.
you can't fake feel.
Right, exactly. So before we play the next song, a little bit of insider trivia. I was telling you before we started that I used to work for a guitar player named Steve Vai, and he has an album or a record label called Favored Nations. And you had maybe posted on Facebook 10 years ago that you were looking for a new record album or a record label. And I sent Steve your music videos, and he said, "Oh wow, I love these guys, but I need to get artists that are going to sell a certain amount so that I can break even, because on most records I'm losing right now." and and so he really took to your music, but I didn't hear anything after that, but you did. So I'd love to hear you share the other side of that story.
I don't know if you had reached out to me personally, but I just heard through the pipeline that Steve I was into what we were doing.
I think I might have emailed you just saying that I sent it.
Oh yeah,
but that was about it.
And so because of that, like on our last, I think it was our last record, we have a song called "Fangs" on Onipan, and I left space in there for a Steve Vai guitar solo, and I wanted him to play the solo, and it's like 20 seconds.
Yeah.
And so he reached out, and he was down to do it, but he was in the middle of composing an orchestral piece with a symphony, so he couldn't do it, which was a bummer, but it was cool that we heard back and that he was psyched about it. And now knowing that he found out because of you, which is thank you.
You're
small
welcome.
World.
You're welcome.
So Mike Mogus ended up playing the guitar solo, and he's a totally badass guitar player. So my instruction for him was like, all right, just imagine you're Steve Vai, and you're on top of a mountain, and your hair is blowing in the wind. And it's like you're like the Lion King. Like, all right, take it from there. 20 seconds. And so I think he called me in after we did that. He was like, and he played me something, and it was clearly him maybe just like getting ready and figuring out what key it was in. And so it was super, it just sounded like he was still trying to figure out what key the song was in. And I could be totally wrong, but that's what it sounded like to me. And I was like, there it is. That's it. That's a solo. And he was like, what? No. I was like, no, that's good. I like that. It's the anti-solo.
Right.
So that's a solo on Fangs. Could have been Steve Vai, maybe next record.
I just want to say, I've been in touch with Steve recently, and he is also home during the pandemic. He may not have as much going on as he had originally planned. So, carpe diem, as they say.
I should be 3 weeks into a tour right now instead I'm hemorrhaging money.
Yeah. Oh,
well, back there, like that's my career right now.
That's funny, man. That's funny. So let's answer a couple of these questions, then we'll get to the next track. Where is this valley of the in-between? Mark Evans asks.
I think I responded it's in his chest. When I wrote the record, I was in a position where, the legally the Man name was kind of in flux, which felt super surreal since it was like the band that I started.
Right.
I had to put out a solo record and all that stuff. And then enough time was going by between Man releases. Any momentum we had was just in the gutter, like below the gutter, below the sewer, just so deep in the earth. And I was at that crossroads where I feel, a lot of people get to, where they have to decide, is it time to get off the horse and pursue a different path in life?
Right.
Or do I just keep pressing forward? It's like,
right.
Was it time to figure something, and I didn't know if I was being delusional, and I was wrestling with all these thoughts, and that's kind of where the album came from. Purgatory in a way,
right?
Emotional, mental, and spiritual.
Well, that's cool. Just so
we're all at now.
Yeah. People, this live chat, I don't think it exists after the video stream ends, so I'll still probably ask you just to get these on the record. How old were you when you wrote your first song? And was that intentional, or did it just happen? And who is your favorite cousin? That's Ruth Masters, who I'm assuming now is related to you.
Yeah, she's my cousin.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ruth. It's a toss-up between you and Joey right at the moment. I'm under the gun here. There's a track on the album called Oyster Point, and the opening melody in Oyster Point is actually an 8-year-old me. I found a cassette tape of me singing to my little brother who has just been born.
That's
I was
cool.
trying to chill him out, so I was singing him Bruce Springsteen and Stevie Wonder covers.
Huh.
And then I found this little magical melody, and I decided to put on the record.
That's great.
So
All
maybe
right.
that's one of the first songs.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, so with that segue, let's listen to Hunters, which is the 8th track on the album, and then it goes into Oyster Point, which is only 29 seconds, and then the prettiest song in the world. I'll save that one for people who buy it. It's too special.
Oh, you sure? You sure that's a magical song?
It is magical, yes. All right, so let's check out Hunters, and here we go.
You were stronger, you learned to love to be alone. You're always running into the arms of disaster. You wish you were smarter, you'd sink your hopes with a stone. You're always running into the arms of desire. If I could change it all, I would, but I can't. Heal the hurt that weighs you down, but I can't. Make some sense out of this world, but I can't. We used to dream, but somehow always land on our feet. Despite all the distance, no matter the tension, like cats entwined in heat. Maybe I waited far too long. Maybe I waited far too deep. Maybe I waited far too long. Waiting for the night to write the. I wish I was crueler. I'd slash the throat of my God. 'Cause I'm always running into the arms of disaster. I wish I was colder. I shiv myself in the yard. 'Cause I'm always running into the arms of desire. If I could change it all, I would, but I can't. Heal the hurt that keeps us bound, but I can't. Make some sense out of this crazy world, but I can't. We used to dream, we'd somehow always land on our feet. Despite all the distance, no matter the tension, like cats entwined in heat. We used to dream, we'd somehow always land on our feet. Maybe I waited far too long. Maybe I waited far too deep. Maybe I've waited far too long. Waiting for the night to write the. If I could change it all, I would.
Wow, what an incredible guitar solo!
Yep.
I think we'll see. I'll tell you the story behind this.
Oh, they're beautiful, isn't it? What a sound.
That is such a classic New York uncle or whatever, you know. What a sound.
Yeah, that was that was a covert recording on my part.
Oh yeah, by of whom?
So that song, you know, we talked about before. That's 8-year-old me at the beginning, like whatever.
Yep.
At the end, we were there's a documentary called User Delusion about my my failed solo career. And we played a film festival up north of the Bay, and we were coming back, and Kevin in the band, he plays bass clarinet and marimba, and he does the maniacal screaming on "Powder My Wig" after the after the boy, that's Kevin screaming like a lunatic. You know, we have a tendency to look up on Craigslist, like, oh, I wonder if there's a bass clarinet in this town, or a euphonium or whatever. And so he found a listing for bass clarinet, and it seemed like a total waste of time. So we figured, let's go check it out. So it was near Oyster Point. It was some guy who lived on a houseboat, and he shows us. And so he was soaking wet. I don't know if he had just gotten out of the shower or if he was in the bay. He was wearing dry clothes, but the rest of him was like soaking wet. and he shows us his bass clarinet, and God bless him, you know. The bass clarinet was garbage. I mean, it was so fucked up. So you know, I have my phone in my pocket, and I'm recording this because it's like, this is gold.
Right.
So Kevin's playing it, and it is beyond saving. And so that's him, like, oh, what a sound. and then I find out years later that Brett, one of my guitarists, whose birthday is today, he plays the beautiful guitar solo at the end of Honus. I find out that his brother met the same guy off a Craigslist ad.
No way.
Trying to buy like speakers or something.
That's cool, man.
A real person.
What a crazy world.
Oh, what a sound. You know, and that's one of the things about this record is that I as a kid, I always loved albums that, you know, were like onions. You know, they just reveal so many layers the more you listen to it. Like, I was a huge Pavement fan when I was younger. And I could listen to those records, and then by like the 12th listen, I hear something new. Like, what is this thing over here? And this album has so much of that kind of stuff on it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's a sound of a guillotine in one of the songs. There's a sound of a car accident. There's a lot of like just sounds that we went out in the world and recorded on a tape recorder or our phone.
Yeah. It's funny.
I just love those layers.
I was interviewing one of Frank Zappa's guitarists. His name's Mike Keneally. And Mike said he was in the studio with Frank, and they were recording Frank twirling his mustache, like the sound of him twirling his mustache. And Mike goes, Frank, why are you doing this? No one's going to know about this but you. And he goes, exactly, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think like it's so easy. The world just kind of expects songs or music to be laid out a certain way. But when you're an artist, you look at your, you know, whether you're recording to tape or to your computer or whatever, you look at it as a canvas. It's not just like, oh, here's the slot for guitar, here's the slot for bass, here's a slot for drums, vocals, and then we're done, you know? I feel like artists like you and Frank Zappa and Captain Beefheart and all these other guys, they paint sound, you know? And sometimes it's music, and sometimes it's chaos, and sometimes it's an 8-year-old version of yourself, you know, singing 8 notes.
Yeah. Like, I think that, you know, I didn't go to school for music, but I did go to a school where there was a lot of kids in music school. So I was constantly confronted by these highly trained musicians who were just total shredders, but they weren't playing anything that interested me. It's like, yeah, that's cool. You can do that weird, you know, moons, I don't know, some crazy scale, but like, you're not putting to any use that I haven't ever heard before.
Right.
And And it's like with a background in screenwriting and playwriting, I'm just trying. I'm trying to tell like 3-minute movies basically.
Right.
And I'm fortunate enough to have the kind of players, and it's just the kind of people that I play with from the very beginning, that I can translate an idea like a guitar solo. All right, so what if you play this guitar part if your body was like completely inside out? How would you play this part?
Yeah.
And then let's say you're completely inside out and you're in a cage underwater. What would that sound like?
Right.
And I have the kind of guys that you can. Oh yeah, Ryan, sure.
Yeah.
So
you never have no one is ever like resisting this sort of direction or telling you you're nuts and then wanting to leave.
Well, I've had like 40 ex-band members since the beginning, so clearly it's all me. Clearly, I'm a monster.
You and Frank Zappa.
Yeah, Frank Zappa was brilliant though. He could write. He wrote all that stuff out.
Oh, I know. On an airplane,
scratch.
like without an instrument, he just would write. A modern day Mozart or something.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just one of those things where I just did not have the patience now, or even when I was younger, to learn someone else's song. Like I kind of felt like, I'll just write my own song. I'd rather invest the time coming up with something that I've never heard before.
Right. Well, they say the grass is always greener and opposites attract and that kind of thing. I am literally releasing a book this year where I've been trying to play a King Crimson song for 22 years. So
yeah,
we're kind of opposite in that way. But
the guys in my band, though, I mean,
yeah.
Like I said, I mean, the real trick is just surround yourself with badasses.
Right.
When I first met Cyrus, who produced the record and kind of became my partner in crime, like arranger on the album, he was learning how to play an Oingo Boingo record from its
like
entirety on guitar.
Yeah.
Note for note on guitar. Like he's that kind of guy. Like he can hear a song once and like, oh yeah, it's in this key, blah blah blah, and then just play it. I'm like, fuck off, man.
So Kyle Paulson says, I don't know if you're still taking questions or not, but was your inspiration for where the music went sonically for this album, or did it happen more naturally?
When I'm writing any record, the album doesn't really come into shape. It usually takes a song or two for me to understand what the album is. Mm-hmm. What the songs are, what the whole scope of the thing is going to become. And at first, I didn't really know. All I knew was that I wanted to kind of get back to the roots of feeling like a live band again. Because that's our bread and butter.
Right.
And I just wanted it to be raw. Like I got a piano and I was writing on the piano again, which I hadn't done since Rabbit Habits. Write on real piano. Which coincidentally, I broke that piano so many times. Like now I can repair a piano. I've had to like repair a dozen hammers on it.
Wow. The action on the piano is very complex, so that's quite an accomplishment.
So, I mean, it sounds like shit, but I think when I wrote On the Mend, that's when it all kind of came into focus for me.
Yeah.
It was On the Mend and maybe Prettiest Song. That's when I was like, okay, now I kind of have an inkling of what this record's going to be about.
Yeah. Are you, in this era where people aren't buying albums or buying music, does it change your approach, or do you feel like it sounds like you think of an album like it's an entire concept or a package? And I don't mean that in the product sense. I mean in the artistic sense.
No. Conceptually, definitely. No, I don't think in a world of singles. And I know that's how music is ingested, and it's totally fine. I mean, maybe we should have just dropped every song separately.
Yeah.
No, but I think of it as a total experience. That's like another silver lining of what's going on right now, is that people now have time to be able to invest and to listen to a record from front to start.
Right.
And this album is like very carefully constructed, or at least sequenced in that way. Mm-hmm. Like it's supposed to be a real emotional journey. It comes out swinging, but then the second LP, it becomes a little more pensive,
right,
and melancholy and introspective.
Well, let's listen to another track. This one's called "Lonely Boys," Beuys. Anything you want to say to prep the audience for this?
This song is partially inspired by the Fluxus artist Joseph Boys. He was a real madman, but he had one installation where he came to America for the first time, and he was removed off the plane on a hospital gurney, and he was wheeled to a warehouse where then he lived for 3 days with a wild coyote.
What?
And then he was put back on the gurney and taken to the airport and got on the plane. So his feet never set down on American soil.
Is
And
this
I thought it'd
performance
be
art or a
interesting.
legal loophole?
Yeah, well, I thought it was interesting. Like, what if I wrote kind of a love song about those 3 days? So that was one of the influences for the song. I mean, there's other things going on, like
Sure.
there's like series of like the Bermuda Triangle and whatever.
All
So,
right.
yeah, that's Lonely Boys. And also there's a Black Keys song called Lonely Boy. I can't name a song after the one of their songs.
Well, let's check it out.
There is a darkness living in the fringes of your life. Something unseen and hungry and always ready to grind. But I'm not afraid to embrace it. I wanna be consumed. Don't neg me and pout like a lonely child.
Okay.
Our bodies are billboards for lovers who just wanna be in tune by something familiar and easily amused. Don't blame me when your bottom drops below your knees. At the end of it, I'm only a lonely boy. We live for the angles, worship Bermuda Triangle. The alchemy we seek is fighting, dirty and madness. Does it exist? Who cares?
Okay. All right. I remember now.
The hell are you?
It's like some Jesus Christ Superstar.
Just an empty vessel. There is a sadness living in the fringes of your room. Something unseen and hungry and always ready to bloom. But I'm not afraid to embrace you. I wanna be consumed. Don't neg me and pout like a lonely child. Our bodies are billboards for lovers who just wanna be in tune by something intangible. It always comes to roost. Don't blame me when the bottom drops below our feet. At the end of it, I'm only a lonely boy. We live for the angle, worship Bermuda Triangle. The alchemy we seek is fighting, dirty and madness. Does it exist? A little bird told me no.
When
Oh
that
man.
when I first heard that "Who cares I do" thing, I had to stop the record. I was like laughing so hard my stomach hurt, and my son is sitting there going, "Why do you laugh at this music? What is so funny about this?"
Yeah, it's like listening back to it now. I'm like the little setup I gave is like it's like that much of a song. Now that I hear it again, I'm like, oh yeah, that's what the song is about. And that "Who cares" part, that's like such like Jesus Christ Superstar,
Right.
which I never heard before until after this record, and I was like, oh, cool. And then I'm like hearing like there's a little bit of Wayne's World dream sequence, and then there's like breaking evening news report music, and then there's like the Thin Lizzy harmonic guitars.
That guitar solo is so great. All the guitar solos on this album are just brilliant. Really great.
Well, it's Brett and Cyrus, and they're just like, their backgrounds. They met on a Megadeth forum when they were in high school. I think Brett might have been in college, and Cyrus was in high school. And at the end, it's like I wanted the whole vibe to be like a Disney dream sequence, and the little bird flies up and just yells "no" at you. But Rebecca Black sings on this song.
What?
I forgot about that.
This is that track.
It's one of them. She sings in the chorus. We live for the angles, Bermuda, like the high notes in there because I couldn't sing.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But I remember hearing it back. This song was born out of a conversation I had with my friend Madeline, who ended up arranging all the strings on the album. She was like, "You should write a song about how people are like billboards," and so that might have been the first line of the song. Our bodies are billboards.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, it's interesting. Like for me, I suffer from this affliction when I'm writing a record or a new song. I forget how to write music. So I have no clue how to write songs right now. It sucks. And the hardest thing is getting into what a song is about, especially with the process that I told you the way I write.
Right. That's wild, man.
Oh, and Lust for Life drums. Like Dylan, our drummer, what a badass.
The whole album, I know I've said it several times, but the whole album is just rockin' and serious musicians. There's none of the, I mean, it has a lot of the charm that the old albums have, but it doesn't have the sloppiness that the old albums have.
Yeah. And if there are moments of sloppiness, like we leave them in. You got to see all parts of it,
Right.
But that's why I'm gonna do whatever I can do, so this record doesn't just disappear into a vacuum. I'm so proud of this fucking record.
Right. Wow. Yeah, it's such a deep and heavy thing. I mean, you've spent so much time, and the music industry has like completely fallen apart. And
it's cratered. It's absolutely cratered.
Yeah. So you mentioned, touring is your bread and butter, and you've had some part-time jobs and that kind of thing. Like,
no more.
Yeah. How do you make it during a time like this as a musician who's making I'm not going to say popular music or unpopular rather. It's just not big mainstream numbers. Like, what are you guys doing?
Well, that's the world's fault, man. They got to catch up. They got to get hip,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel, I love that new Fiona Apple record.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is just on par with that album.
I agree. I agree.
And maybe I feel like it's kind of been the case with my band, which it's a good place to be, sort of, where. So this tour we did last year. Every show we did, people came up and they wanted to talk about our Life Fantastic album.
Mm-hmm.
And when that came out, it got a total of 2 reviews. I did 2 interviews for the entire record.
What?
Yeah, it's like then that was it. It just that was it. We got not a good Pitchfork review, which then influenced other reviews, and it was just it sucked. But then years later, it was artistically rewarding because people were kind of the woodwork and asked the album and then talk about it. And hopefully this album, it won't take 11 years for people to discover it.
Yeah, I hope not.
But as far as what we do for jobs, I don't know. I mean, as musicians, we're used to just squirreling our money away, and so because we make our money touring solely.
Right.
But realistically, we're not going to be able to tour for at least a year.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So
I'm going to be broke. I'm going to be broke in a year.
Right. That's something that I have a little soapbox about, and I'll try not to get too much on it. But if you're watching this and you're enjoying it, please go buy it. This is like when there's no touring, this is how artists can make a living, and anything we can throw, to good music keeps good music being made. So
I mean, yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, I'm kind of at a place now too where I know everyone is like in a really tough spot right
right, yeah,
now. So if you can afford to like buy it and support us, you can really help by just getting the word out there, like telling your friends.
Share
Social
it.
media, just like share it with people.
Right, it's
'Cause,
free
like,
to share.
Yeah, like I don't want this album to just disappear into the ether. I'm just like,
Exactly. Yeah, it's really good. And I interviewed this artist named Sarah Groves, and she was saying, in today's world, it's all about the pre-release, because that's like pre-orders are the only way to sell your record. And she said to her manager, like, what's the deal about pre-release? It used to be like when the album comes out, that's when you start really going hard and getting people to buy it. And the manager said, well, nowadays, when your album comes out, it's free. You don't make money on it. So, that's.
I mean, yeah, and right now, since we can't tour, I mean, you have to kind of think outside of the box a little bit.
Right.
On our release day, we did a 12-hour telethon to try to move 50,000 units, and we fell shy of about 49,600.
Wow, that's awesome.
We came shy of about 49,600. But we did move 400 units, which was great. It makes the label happy. And
yeah, that's really good.
That's more people who have it, and it's super positive.
Yep.
And I've been doing daily streams from my shower.
Yes, I've noticed them on Instagram.
Yeah, it's pretty dumb. I mean, I like to talk to my friends and family when I'm in the shower, and they don't like it. So one day I thought it'd be funny. What if I do this on Instagram? Will anyone watch this? And now I'm doing it every day.
So someone asked, you mentioned earlier the Use Your Delusion documentary. Is that going to be available for viewing or purchase anywhere?
We're trying to sort it out. I mean, there's like there's some legality issues with the music that's in it. Not our music, but just like licensed music.
Yep.
We're trying to figure out with Sub Pop because they want to help get it out there. It's a tour documentary. You're not going to like learn hard hitting facts about yours truly.
Right.
I'm not going to tell you about my childhood and stuff, but but it's the filmmakers Justin and Jamie Wheeler and Justin Carlton. They shot it like mise en scene style, like fly on the wall, which it's pretty cool. Like French New Wave kind of style. So
right.
You're there on tour with us, and you get to see a band who does not have an audience how they tour.
That's cool. All right, so let's wrap this up. If you are not already a fan, I've got the manmanband.com URL on the bottom of the screen, and then when I'm playing the music, I'll have the Bandcamp URL up. So you can go check out the album on Bandcamp. What's cool is you can listen to it a couple times for free, and then you can pay. They usually have like flexible pricing and stuff. And then when you buy it, you can stream it, forever from Bandcamp. It's also available.
You can go to Sub Pop, yeah.
Yep. Oh, Sub Pop has it too. That's
yeah,
right.
They have it on the Mega Store. There were 2 songs. We recorded 19 songs for this album, and the other 2 songs that didn't end up on the record came out on the Singles Club for Sub Pop.
Oh, cool.
And they were going to be cuts on the album, and that's available on the Mega Store as well.
Oh, I thought those were long gone. I thought they were sold out.
I think they have a few more copies that they made available.
Oh, cool.
And then on top of that, you should support your local music stores if they're still around and doing curbside pickup. And at the very least, if you'd like to support us, you could call your local radio station, because we're having college radio, and some radio stations even play Cloud9, Future Peg. Just ask for a Man Man song and see if they'll play it.
Right
on. Let's infect a lot of people with Man Man.
Yes, absolutely. The world needs more Man Man. Well, Ryan, thanks again so much for taking the time. We're going to just listen to, I think I'm going to do Unsweet or Sheila, and then Unsweet Meat, and then
Sheila.
Yes, and I'll wrap up the interview. So thanks everyone for joining on the stream, and thanks for anyone who's watching this post stream. Go for it.
Go watch Wild Wild Country, and maybe you'll write a song for Sheila after you watch that documentary.
Oh, I don't know.
That
What's Wild Wild Country?
Oh, it's about a cult that was set up in Oregon in I think the late 70s, 80s, and the cult leader's right hand person was Ma Nan Sheila, and she's terrifying and scary, the same thing. Super magnetic and driven, and the whole time I watched the documentary, I really couldn't. She scared me.
Huh.
But 2 weeks later, I couldn't stop thinking about her, so I wrote the song for her.
Cool.
That's what Sheila's about. It's my love song to Sheila.
Well, that's an appropriate way to close this interview, I think.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, of
This has
course,
been
man.
a lot of fun.
Of course. Thank you so much, and let's get to listening to those tracks.
Bouncing off the walls of box canyons. Beat your chest, it's hollow like an oil drum. And your passion for fame is out of fashion. Will you be my Sheila after dark? Will you be my Sheila after dark? It's not about control. It's all about control.
guillotine at the end of that song.
Oh, that's what that is.
Yeah, it's a guillotine, like decapitation.